Ladies and gentlemen, today we have some absolutely massive news coming out of the federal court system, and between you and me, I have a feeling that you guys are going to like this. You see, just yesterday afternoon, we got not one but two massive federal rulings that will allow the Trump administration to start carrying out mass deportations at lightning speed. Now, the first ruling has given President Trump's Department of Homeland Security access to the IRS information of every single illegal alien that's currently registered in our national IRS database. This federal ruling effectively grants the Trump administration access to the personal identification information of every illegal alien in the country that's registered inside of our IRS system, and shockingly, that's a lot of them. In fact, before we really break all of this down, I want you all to take a look at one of the Department of Government Efficiency's recent bombshell findings.
We started at the top of the system, mapping the whole system of Social Security to understand where all the fraud was. And there's a lot of great people there that showed us really a lot of waste. And so that came up with a big list of stuff that we're working on. You've heard some of that already. But this is what jumped out at us. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, just this literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident.
So folks, did you catch all of that? During Joe Biden's presidency, the Democrats handed out over 3 million Social Security numbers to illegal aliens so that they could collect government benefits at the expense of the U.S. taxpayer. And everything considered, the Trump administration estimates that around 10 million illegal aliens have Social Security numbers right now, which means now that President Trump has access to the personal identification information of every single one of those illegal aliens, President Trump can begin deporting all of them with surgical precision. So as a consequence of this federal ruling, President Trump can give all of this illegal alien IRS information over to ICE, which means that now the deportations can really start picking up in speed. But ladies and gentlemen, check this out. As monumental as all of that is, yesterday's federal ruling is perhaps even more impactful. But before we take a look at that, I do want to say real quick that if you guys enjoy the daily news updates, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton. But okay, take a look at this. Yesterday afternoon, a federal judge actually ruled that President Trump officially has the green light to invoke the Alien Enemies Act, which means that now President Trump has the full and total legal authority to deport illegal alien gang members using the full force of the U.S. military. Now, interestingly, these two rulings are actually the first two rulings to come out of the federal judiciary that actually support President Trump's America First agenda, and they came out on the very same day. So who knows what's going on behind the scenes, but either way, this is an absolutely massive victory. Going forward, ICE and the Department of Homeland Security can leverage IRS personal identification data to locate, apprehend, and deport all of these illegal aliens that have been burdening our country, and if necessary, President Trump can now use the U.S. military to make it happen. Now, as an example of just how much of a burden all of these illegal aliens have really been, check this out. In 2024, California spent $9.5 billion on healthcare costs for illegal aliens alone, and that's just healthcare costs specifically in the state of California. Across the entire country, it's estimated that we're spending over $150 billion per year on government entitlements for illegal aliens that shouldn't even be in the country in the first place. Very clearly, Americans are sick and tired of all of the problems that illegal aliens have brought with them into our country, and so really, these federal rulings aren't just a massive victory for President Trump, they're also a massive victory for the American people. But you know what? Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this.
Deport all undocumented immigrants. Voters favoring the government trying to deport all 11 million of them. Back in 2016, just 38% of voters wanted the government to try to deport all 11 million undocumented immigrants. Compared to where we are in 2025, 56%, the majority. The American people have come a long way on this issue, much closer to Donald Trump, and I think that's a big part of the reason why Americans are increasingly saying the country is on the right track when it comes to immigration policy, and why Donald Trump's net approval rating on that issue is in the positive.
So did you folks catch all of that? According to a recent CNN survey, right now 56% of Americans nationwide support President Trump's ongoing endeavor to deport every single illegal alien that's currently inside of the country, whereas in 2016, only 38% of Americans expressed their support. So once again, Americans across the country have absolutely had enough of the radical progressives' anti-American open border agenda. The truth is, border security and mass deportations were probably President Trump's top campaign promises that led to his landslide victory in the 2024 election. So finally, we actually have some federal judges that have decided to respect the overwhelming will of the American people by ruling to allow President Trump to better execute his deportations. And as you all know, the illegal alien crisis isn't just some empty campaign talking point that doesn't really matter. No, in truth, our country has been invaded by tens of millions of illegal aliens, all as a consequence of the radical progressives' anti-American agenda. An agenda, by the way, that almost completely destroyed the American economy, that caused irreparable demographic and cultural damage in the country, and most importantly, that has cost hundreds of thousands of American lives. Between the gang violence, the cartels, the human trafficking, the terrorist organizations, and the drug smuggling, if President Trump had lost the 2024 election and if the radically progressive open border agenda had been allowed to continue, our country wouldn't have survived to see another presidential election. And so I don't know about you guys, but hey, in my opinion, personally, I hope that the Department of Homeland Security, as well as our federal ICE agents, get a hold of all of this IRS information and actually put it to good use. I hope that they systematically identify, apprehend, and deport every single illegal alien that's inside of our country, because in my opinion, that is the only way to truly make this country great again. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we wrap up, I do want to say real quick that we officially have a Morse News Twitter page as well as a Morse News Facebook page. So if you use either of those platforms, please go down below and drop a follow in order to get breaking news updates that relate to everything we talk about here in the YouTube videos. But everyone, that is going to be a wrap for today's video, so please go down below and drop a comment. Let me know what you think about all of this. Please like the video while you're down there, and like I said earlier, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton. Thank you all very much for tuning in today, and of course, as always, stay safe.